All right, today we're diving into the high-stakes world of universal insurance holdings. You might know them as UVE. They are a huge player in what has to be one of the most unpredictable markets in the entire country. This is really a story of massive risk, huge potential rewards, and the constant threat of some truly devastating storms.
So, that all boils down to the big question we're tackling today. Is it actually possible to consistently make a profit insuring paradise? I mean, Florida is beautiful, no one's denying that, but it's also ground zero for severe weather. Let's see if UVE has cracked the code or if this whole game is just too tough to win.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the scene. We're zeroing in on the Florida insurance market. It's beautiful, yes, but it's also incredibly treacherous. And right in the middle of it all is one company, UVE, that has made itself the king of this kingdom.
So who exactly is UVE? Well, they were founded way back in 1990, and their bread and butter is homeowners insurance, almost all of it concentrated in Florida. Their entire strategy is built around insuring homes in these catastrophe-prone areas, which, yeah, you guessed it, gives them an extremely high-risk profile because of that constant hurricane exposure.
Now, to really get what's happening with them today, we've got to rewind a bit. Because for a while there, it looked like insuring paradise wasn't just possible, it was incredibly profitable. This was a time of relative quiet, a sort of calm before the storm, literally.
And man, their growth during this period was just incredible. See, in the early 2010s, all the big national insurance companies started pulling out of Florida. They basically said, this is too risky for us. That created this massive vacuum, this huge opportunity. And UVE jumped right in. They expanded like crazy, soaking up all that market share. And as a result, their premiums exploded, leading to year after year of really strong profits. It was a true golden era for them.
But you know, in a market like Florida, the good times, they don't always last. The story takes a huge turn when a new, much more intense era of hurricanes started to roll in.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem, right? You can have years of profits, years of careful planning, and all of it can be wiped out in just one afternoon by one catastrophic storm. The entire rule book for this business was about to be rewritten.
And the shift was, wow, it was dramatic. Starting in 2017, Florida just got hammered by a series of major storms. First, you had Irma, then Michael the very next year, and 2022 was just brutal, with Hurricane Ian, one of the costliest storms in U.S. history, and then Hurricane Nicole right after. This wasn't just a bad season. It was a fundamental shift in the level of risk.
So this constant barrage of storms, it really exposes what our source material calls a huge structural flaw in their whole business model. You get to a point where the math just doesn't add up anymore. Okay, to really get this, there's one key concept we have to talk about: reinsurance. It sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. It's basically insurance for insurance companies. So when a massive hurricane hits and UVE has to pay out billions in claims, their reinsurance policy kicks in and saves them from going bankrupt. It's the absolute financial backbone for anyone trying to insure homes in Florida.
And when you put the old model next to the new reality, the difference is it's night and day. The old way of doing things depended on kind of predictable storm seasons and, crucially, stable, affordable reinsurance. But today, we're seeing bigger, more frequent storms, and that has made reinsurance incredibly expensive and hard to get. The old profit cycle is broken. Now one bad storm can wipe out the profits from several good years, just like that.
And look, this isn't just some analyst saying this from the outside. The source material shows that UVE's own leadership has admitted it. They've basically said that the insane cost of reinsurance has become one of the biggest weights on their entire business. That really tells you everything you need to know.
Okay, so after laying all of that out, the source material comes to a pretty clear, pretty decisive conclusion about where UVE is headed. The analysis boils this all down to what it calls the core thesis breaker. And the argument is pretty simple when you think about it. The storms are getting worse, faster than UVE can raise its prices. Those reinsurance costs are just continuing to skyrocket, which crushes their profit margins. On top of that, the whole private insurance market in Florida is actually shrinking. All this volatility just makes stable growth almost impossible. It's a powerful argument against the long-term sustainability of the model. If you want to feel the kind of pressure UVE is under, just look at this number. According to our source, the cost of that critical reinsurance has shot up by more than 200% for some Florida insurers since this new era of storms began. A 200% increase. That is an absolutely game-changing number. So this table here, it really paints a tough picture for UVE, no matter how you slice it. Short term, over the next couple of years, high costs probably mean they're just going to stagnate. Medium term, 5 years out, the outlook suggests a downward trend. And long term, over the next decade, the source points to a high risk of major underperformance because of this constant existential pressure from these storm cycles.
And there's this one last quote from the company's own leadership that just sums it all up perfectly. It really gets to the core dilemma for UVA. The very same market that gives them their biggest opportunity is also, without a doubt, their single greatest risk.
All right, so with that pretty clear verdict from our source, let's zoom out for a second. What's the big lesson from UV's story? What can we all learn from this, whether we're looking at risky industries or just trying to make sense of the world?
So, what does this all mean for you? Well, the main takeaway is pretty stark. The analysis shows UVE is stuck in an environment where the risk is actively getting worse, not better. Their business is fundamentally capped by things that are completely out of their control. We're talking global weather patterns and the international reinsurance market. For anyone looking at this, it means the future is probably going to stay incredibly volatile and unpredictable. But even bigger than that, this is a powerful cautionary tale about what happens when an entire industry has to fight against massive structural headwinds that are just blowing stronger and stronger against them.
And that really leaves us with a final, much bigger question to think about. UVE's story is focused on Florida, sure, but in our changing climate, it forces us to ask, what other risks in what other parts of the world are slowly becoming simply uninsurable? Thanks for joining us.